It's Danny from Divine Health and Wellness, and today I wanted to touch base on junk food and how to give it up. So if you're struggling to give up junk food and just no matter what you do, you can't stop the cravings coming in, then I'm going to tell you right now the secret to giving up junk food, and it is don't give up junk food. I haven't given up junk food. I'm a naturopath. I know so much about the human body, but don't give up junk food. What you do is you focus on increasing other foods in your diet. So focus on increasing your vegetable intake. Be more specific, focus on your green veggies. Focus on getting more fruit into your diet. Focus on making bliss balls and treats like that you can have in the house ready to go. But when you focus on increasing foods rather than restricting them, you're changing the way that you approach food. So you're changing your whole relationship with food. And this is a big key in losing weight long term. So when you can look at the abundance of food that you have, there's so many beautiful, healthy foods that you can eat till the cows come home, focus on that rather than this kind of checklist of, all these foods that you're never going to eat again, you're going to cut them out completely and they're gone. Because when you have that restriction and deprivation, when you have that control and you're cutting out foods, what that does is increases your cravings for those foods. And it also creates a really unhealthy relationship with food. So when you've got that restriction, you've got that deprivation, and you've got that focus on all the things that you can't have, that causes you to just kind of rebound against it. It's like we're rebellious against the rules that we place on ourselves. So you've probably experienced this before in diets. I know I have. I've tried so many times in my own weight loss journey to cut out foods, and I would literally make lists of foods that I was never going to eat again. And I would, put them on the fridge or take a photo and make it my phone desk, wallpaper, so that I always saw it. And it was just this horrible place to be in, and it always ended in craving the exact foods that I was trying to stay away from. It's kind of like the old thing where if I said to you, okay, stop right now and just whatever you do, don't think about penguins. Now go. Obviously your mind just goes, penguins. I've just literally put that in your mind. Your mind doesn't hear the don't, it just hears penguins. So your mind doesn't hear the don't eat chocolate ever again. It's just like chocolate. And then the cravings come and you kind of rebel against the rules that you've placed on yourself. So increase other foods, focus on that increase, focus on that abundance, focus on how good those foods make you feel, and just allow yourself to kind of find that balance between those foods and the foods that you're trying so desperately to give up. I don't think that we should aim for this kind of perfect diet. I don't actually know if that exists. I think the important thing is finding that balance and moderation, and that doesn't come from creating restriction and deprivation. It comes from focusing on the beautiful foods that you can enjoy and just kind of including those other foods in your diet in moderation if you feel like it, and not stressing about whether or not they're there in your diet. So that is how I live. That's how I focus on my eating. That's how I've changed my entire relationship with food. And for me, it's about doing what feels right for my body. So now that I have that healthy relationship with food, now that I have that balance and moderation, if I do, for example, feel like some kind of junk food, or I'm out and there's something at a party that I want to try or have, because I don't have that restriction and deprivation, because I don't feel guilty for any food choices that I make, I'm actually able to enjoy that food. So let's say chips. I love hot chips. So if I'm going to have them, I'm actually able to enjoy them and not binge on them because I'm allowing myself to have them. I'm not sure if I'm being clear enough there. So when I had this relationship with food that was about restriction, deprivation, guilt, and trying to attain this kind of perfect diet, when I was there, if I did have the foods that I was trying to avoid, then it would normally be like a binge on those foods because I felt so guilty that I was having them that it was kind of like, oh, I'm just going to eat the whole packet of chocolate chip cookies because then I can't have any tomorrow. And that means that tomorrow I'll be back on my diet plan and everything will be okay. So I'll just eat the whole thing and feel really shitty about it and feel really horrible afterwards just to get it over and done with. And now it's like, well, if I feel like a chocolate chip biscuit, I'm going to have 1 or 2 or 3 and I'm going to enjoy them and I'm going to feel good about it. I don't need to eat the whole packet because there's nothing wrong with eating a chocolate chip biscuit. Do you know what I mean? So it's a completely different view on food. It's a completely different approach and it works so well. I've lived it. I know exactly how it feels to go from one to the other. So I help my clients come to that place, and that is why I say don't give up junk food. Just focus on the other foods that you want to increase. Focus on the more, not the less. And you'll find that it's so much easier to have a healthy relationship with food and to find that balance and moderation. And there's not, like, this isn't to say that when you focus on increasing your green veggies, you're never going to crave chocolate chip cookies ever again. It's not like that. But it's about having that relationship with food that you can crave the chocolate chip cookies and have 1 or 2 without binging, without feeling guilty, without falling down the rabbit hole and, eating crappy foods for a whole week before you get back on track. It's about having those foods, knowing that it's okay, allowing yourself to have that balance and moderation, and just keeping on going with those other foods that you focus on increasing in your diet, the healthy foods, the foods that make you feel really good. So that's my tip for today. Very surprising advice from a naturopath. Don't give up junk food, but focus on the abundance of foods that you want to increase in your diet.